Hi there, and welcome to Boxing Media Hub. We're proudly sponsored by Falcon Contracting. We're here for another live watch-along, this time of Vergil Ortiz Jr. versus Thomas Dulorme. We've got Vergil Ortiz Jr., who is 20-0-0 with 20 knockouts. What an absolute beast. And he's against Thomas Dulorme, who is 26-6-1 with 17 knockouts, and he's been stopped 3 times. The fight's underway, so let's get straight into the action. He's popping out the jab. Ortiz looks the aggressor straight off the bat, as you'd expect. Hopefully I've got a guest joining me now, which will be Malik.
Yes, I am.
He is here. Mr. Malik. Leak the Geek is with me. How are you, sir?
I'm doing amazing, man. Had a nice long day, ready for some good boxing.
Good man, good man, good man. Right. Talk me through what you're seeing, brother. Talk me through what you're seeing.
Hey, so I'm already seeing Ortiz double up on the jab. I'm seeing him parrying. He looks a little bladed. His back foot is a little too much behind the other one. I'd like to see that out a little bit more, but I like the feints already. I'm liking that. And he looks big. He looks strong, man. He's looking good.
He does, mate. He really does. He really does. He looks in fantastic shape.
Absolutely.
Definitely, man. Definitely. Did you catch a bit of the undercard earlier as well?
No, I wasn't able to, man. I just got home, got all this set up. It was taking me a while. Apologies for that. But I did see that Jojo Diaz looked like he might be going into retirement at this point.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you, matey. Yeah, he got stopped. And he got stopped as well by Duarte. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a great example of styles making fights, man. You know,
it is, mate.
Yeah, you know, that's just not the style that Jojo Diaz is going to shine on. So that's what that comes down to. I am seeing. Go ahead. So I am seeing Ortiz use some feints. I like that too. That means he's thinking. I like to see that. And I'm already seeing some countering. Looks nice off the back foot, and he just looks big, man.
He does. He looks big and strong. I think he's going to take care of this guy pretty quick for me.
Hey, so as the announcers were saying, I did a little bit of research. So, you know, this Dulorme guy got stopped by Boots, got stopped by Stanionis, and got stopped by Crawford. So the idea is he's with Vergil Ortiz being the 2019 prospect of the year, he's supposed to, you know, at this point he needs to go ahead and show the goods, you know. And
he's down already. He's down, crippled in pain in the middle of the ring. He has been absolutely clattered by Ortiz to the body, and it's over. This fight is done in the first round. Unbelievable. What a knockout from Vergil Ortiz Jr. again. And that is unbelievable. He has just absolutely obliterated him to the body.
He looked strong, and he was changing levels. He was going up and down, and this is exactly what he was supposed to do.
He has cleaned his clock, mate. He has done him. He is finished. That took less than a minute. He has absolutely destroyed Dulorme.
And this is exactly what this setup was for, right? So we want to see the Tim Tszyu fight. I think it might be. I'm going to go ahead and say it right now. It might be fight of the year. We talk about styles making fights, and for Ortiz to be able, because what weight class they're going to fight at 154, right?
They are, yeah. It's going to be on the undercard of the Madrimov Bud Crawford. So yeah, right. At 154.
Right, and so I see this as it might steal the show, man. I really want to see what it looks like for Vergil Ortiz to be tried with somebody who's just as big as him, who has just as hard of a chin, who punches just as hard. Because Tim Tszyu he really is a throwback fighter, and I definitely appreciate everything that he's been bringing to the ring. He's been bringing that Australian energy and just bring that throwback. You can tell his father was obviously a fighter.
Yeah.
But as far as Dulorme goes, man, as far as the fighter goes, like I said, he was just kind of almost like a sacrificial lamb at this point.
He was. This was just to make the Tim Tszyu fight. Like
for sure, but nevertheless, right? So you got, what is that? That's Robert Garcia, and their gym. They're incredible. They really know how to take a fighter's offense to the next level. And even as you're looking at these replays, it looks like it was just a simple hook to the body, but that had a lot to do with timing. That has to do with rhythm. That has to do with the fact that you're comfortable. You're not thinking about the weight, right? You're not thinking about.
Well, you, Malik, as a boxer, you know about that, mate. You know yourself. You box. You're from Chicago. You're from Windy City.
Exactly. And things boxing, as you know, some people have said, but you don't really understand it until you do it, is that 90% of boxing is mental.
Yeah.
And those mental issues can begin to compound if you have other things on your mind, right? As soon as you start feeling your legs feel shaky because you don't feel as weak because you just started off and now you feel gassed already, that's something you're thinking about already. You're not thinking about, like I said, setting up shots, setting up tracks, finding their rhythm and finding the in-between moments in between those rhythms. And that's exactly what we just saw out of Vergil Ortiz.
It's
that
mentality,
body shot,
mate. It's that go-getter mentality, isn't it? It's that literally live or die trying mentality.
Yeah, exactly. And you have to be able to have a strong core for you to be able to implement your game plan and implement the things that your corner is saying and to be in there making the adjustments. See, that's elite. And that, you know what? As much as I want to give Vergil Ortiz credit, I said it as soon as I got on here that he was supposed to dispose of this guy, and he did. So that's wonderful. But this Tim Tszyu fight, man, I have a feeling about it, man. And I see a lot of people don't want to necessarily talk about it because, like, you have to really get into the boxing of it. You know, this is not a oh, the presser is going to be crazy and the he say she said. No, this is just two guys who really know how to box, who are really going to give the fans what they want to see. And I feel like their styles, more than anything, is going to make one of those great Mexican standoffs, right? I'm thinking Barrera, Eric Morales, right?
Yep.
I'm thinking Morales, Pacquiao. You know, I'm thinking fights like that is how I see this coming through. Because, I mean, let's look at his record. And I'm sorry if I'm going off. I'm just excited about boxing, man.
No, mate. I completely agree with everything you've said, mate. Malik, honestly, everything you're saying is spot on. I agree. Tim Tszyu against Ortiz is going to be a war. People think it's going to be an Ortiz easy job. They don't know what Tim Tszyu's about, mate. Tim Tszyu,
absolutely not. You know, I am a Tim Tszyu fan, not only for how he's carrying himself outside and inside of the ring, but he is really good. And people don't give him enough credit for the first couple rounds when he fought Fundora. It looked like it was going to be an easy night. Okay.
Yeah.
But
until the head clash.
Again, it's not just the head gash. I go, see, you know, things are right when I can go back to exactly what I already said, which is it's a mental game.
Yeah.
You got all that blood coming down, right? And you're thinking like, oh, this is different than the game plan. And now a lot of the things that you might wanted to be able to do, or the things that you're getting caught with now, you weren't normally getting caught with those things. Right?
Yep,
and not to take away from Fundora, because he did an amazing job implementing the plan, right? He finally fought Long, right? And I know that everybody wanted him to finally do that, and he did it. So hats off to him. See, we got to see people fight. So just because Tim Tszyu lost, and he lost like a warrior, he still lost. You got to give credit where credit is due. But nevertheless, if I want to see what a Tim Tszyu, who's now hungry and chopping at the bit to show people what he's really about, because remember, this is the same guy that Charlo, I don't want to say ducking, but found an excuse for. Lubin found an excuse for. All those top people found an excuse for. And the reason why Fundora had nothing to lose, he was already coming off of a loss, right?
Yeah.
Off of the guy that Tim Tszyu already beat, Mendoza, right?
Brian Mendoza, yeah.
Exactly. So man, we're finally getting back into old school boxing and people holding L's, but coming back and showing you what it's really about, because styles make the fights. And this is going to be incredible for Vergil Ortiz. I just hope that he can continue to make weight. I hope he can continue to, I do think that if he can really get in his bag and really implement what Robert Garcia and them are doing with him changing levels and finding rhythm, I do think he could be a problem for Tim Tszyu, because Tim Tszyu is a little, it's almost
one-dimensional.
I don't want to say one-dimensional. So it's like, you know, have you heard the phrase "kiss, keep it simple, stupid"?
Yep.
So that's exactly. He doesn't have as many. I'm not going to take away from his defense. His defense is actually decent, but he doesn't have too much going on offense. On offense, he finds what he can find, and it's almost like Triple G. He gets inside your range, and then he's going to hit you with as hard as he can, right? But how you kind of offset that is obviously playing to your advantages. So you take a Fundora who's going to stay long, keep a jab in his face, right? Throw him off, because Tim Tszyu's not a rhythm fighter, right? If you're on a rhythm and somebody jabs, if my head is already on the movement, then if you right past me, I can get in there, right? That's moving on a rhythm. You see a lot of that from Sugar Ray Leonard. And you see a lot of that from that new kid, Carmel Moulton.
Oh, I like Carmel.
I love him. He fights on a really good rhythm. And I'm not saying one thing is better than the other, because even Floyd fought with no bounce, and he did perfectly fine because he was able to get in between. But what I'm trying to make the point of is that if Vergil Ortiz can fight on a rhythm and get in, and not even necessarily get out, but like find his spots in to really disrupt Tim Tszew's kind of single dimensional come in, it could be problems for Tszyu, but it's still going to be exciting because at the end of the day, we don't know what it looks like for Vergil Ortiz, who is now 21 wins with 21 knockouts, to get hit hard.
Yeah, we've not
right?
seen him
When you
have
get
to
hit
counter.
hard, as I was saying beforehand with Haney, all of a sudden, what's really what the 5-year-old fighter that you were when you were 5 years old comes out. All that boxing training don't mean anything. You all of a sudden, it can go out the window. That's why you have to have that mental toughness. And right now, just based off of that one round, he did exactly what he was supposed to do. He beat a guy who's been beaten by everybody else in a better way, which shows me that he's on the rise, which shows me they had a great camp. So I love it.
He's going places, mate. He's going places. Is Vergil Ortiz? He's going 100%. Places. He looks.
Look at him. Look at him. He looks bigger than Oscar.
He actually does. Yeah, he does.
He looks bigger than Oscar, and that's why he's struggling with the weight, man. Because these kids are big. People talk about weight bullies, and the thing about weight bullies, right, is that
Devin Haney was the weight bully. They said, didn't they?
Well, not just Devin Haney, right? You could even say Shakur Stevenson. You could say a lot of people. You could say a lot of American fighters under, not even under. I would say American fighters from 168 under. You could make a claim for it. But this is what I'm going to say about it, because I'm not a hater, because I understand how it works both ways, right?
Yeah.
So you can be a weight bully. You can say, oh, you have an unfair advantage when you hydrate, right? But guess what? That weight bully had to come down to an unhealthy, right, unnatural weight, and that can really throw you off. We see it.
Well, look at Haney against Garcia, mate. We've seen it.
Look at Spence. Look at Spence. He spent a career at 147 when he should have already moved up. Right?
Yeah.
But on the inverse of that, right? Let's not just use it in the negative. Let's look at the positive. Look at Roberto Duran. Look at Roberto Duran. Look at Sugar Ray Leonard. They ended their careers at what? 175, 168, right? But remember, when they got it on the first time, it was like 135.
It was, yeah. It was
right?
lightweight, yeah.
Tommy Hearns, right? And then you saw with Marvin Hagler, after he had that Mugabe fight, he didn't have too much more in the tank after that, because he stayed at that same weight class, right? So even look at somebody like Bernard Hopkins. You have to move up, but you have to have the skills to be able to do it, right? Yeah. And you're going to have to start dealing with people who are punchers. So it works both ways. So I'm not saying, oh, you're a weight bully in a negative sense. I'm saying that, oh, that's just your particular strategy, right? Yeah. Because guess what? I have a fighter where it's like, look, bro, we can get you down to 160 and you can be a little bit bigger than everybody else. But guess what? You're not who you really are at 160. You are who you really are at 168. You know? And I'm willing to bet on your skills over, right, having that particular advantage.
Well, it's like what Bud's doing, mate, Malik. What Bud's doing at the moment, he's going up. He's fighting Madrimov at 154, and then he's going to go up to 160, apparently, if he wins against Madrimov, which I believe he will. And then he wants to go up to 168. And Bud was 135.
Yeah, exactly. See, when you have the skills, you can even use Canelo. When you have the skills, right, it only takes 5 pounds of pressure to get somebody in the chin in the right spot, bro.
Yeah, and with the slip punch in the Bud, Bud Crawford,
the thing about
anytime.
Right, and the thing about fighting bigger guys is obviously they're slower and they're not used to smaller, quicker guys. So if you have the skill set, you can do what you want, and you can truly grow into your weight. And that's the thing I want to say about Haney, is I just feel like, he made 140 the first time, it was okay, and now it's like, had Haney had that 143, that 144 little catchweight situation too, and that's why I give Ryan Garcia credit. People say that he cheated, but no, he didn't, because they had to renegotiate, and they renegotiated, so therefore it was fair. Yeah,
he paid him the 600 grand, didn't he? He paid him 600K. They said 1.5.
Hey, all I know is that the proper people were in the room when the fight decided to continue to go, and they all decided that it needed to continue to go. And so therefore, he had a strategy. See, this is all the art of war. You have to have a strategy, right?
Do you think Haney and Bill Haney thought they were going to win that fight either?
Right. And so you have to understand. We're losing. See, what Bud is doing is throwback. Why? Because you gotta understand legacy. So you have Bernard Hopkins, and Bernard Hopkins begets Andre Ward, and Andre Ward begets Bud Crawford, and Bud Crawford begets Shakur Stevenson, right? And so you have this long. See, when you're in boxing, we have these old people that you would think might be homeless on the street that just know so much knowledge. Yeah, right? Because you got to remember, the history of boxing is the history of the man in poverty, right? The man who didn't do well in school, right?
They had to fight for their life.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And also, if you want to talk about business, also the man who's been historically exploited. So, but excuse me. Nevertheless, on that, when I was talking about that legacy piece, look at what Andre Ward did, right? He campaigned and obviously some of his best work at 160, right? And then when he got into those legal issues and needed to come back and fight the Crusher, he didn't just fight the Crusher. He moved up one and fought what was his name?
Kovalev.
Yeah, I know Kovalev, but he fought somebody before Kovalev. His name started with a B. He was a Cuban.
Oh well. Oh, I don't remember.
Yeah,
that.
but he was a Cuban guy, and he fought him before he fought Kovalev, right?
Yeah.
Why? Because he needed to get acclimated to the weight.
Yeah, make sure
And
he can take the power of the man at that weight first before he goes in with the beast.
And there you go. So
yeah.
I'm looking for these fighters under 160 specifically. I mean, we're keeping it real. Some of these black fighters to get acclimated at that next weight, and then go ahead and move up and fight that guy. Right? Fight that guy. Everybody's doing too much of a zero sum. My next fight has to be the biggest fight type situation, right? They only start thinking about taking baby steps when they have a loss.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, like
they
go backwards once they lose, and that just puts them down a peg or two.
Yeah, and now they're like, now I should probably take and people. It's not even about taking a fight that's just like a tune-up fight. It's about an acclimating fight. The guy that I'm talking about. I want to say his name is Beretta, but it's not Beretta. He's a Cuban guy. I can't believe I can't remember the guy's name, but that was the one where you see the clip where Andre Ward had that really nice clip where he caught.
Don't worry, mate. I'll find it afterwards and I'll post it in the link so people.
Okay, perfect. But nonetheless, that was a skilled Cuban, and so it's like you have to be able to do that. And even before that with Bernard Hopkins, he fought Roy Jones at 160.
Yeah.
He
was a beast.
But what did he do? He moved up. And you just have to do that. Look at a Miguel Cotto. You look at you have to be able to move up. If you really have those skills to be able to do that. I think what's happening is they're staying at what's working, for too long. And you got a whole bunch of yes men around you. And I think that's what happened with Errol Spence. You got a whole bunch of people that's saying, well, why would we move up when you're doing everything you need to do? We have all the PBC fighters right here for you at 147, not looking at the longevity of what does it mean to go through those many accidents and have to go through rehabilitation and then still shrink your body like that.
Yeah, I tell you what, Malik, I was going to ask you as well about PBC. It seems like they're being siphoned off by Eddie Hearn and Matchroom at the minute. All the PBC fighters seem to be leaving and joining Eddie Hearn at Matchroom. What do you think to that? Like, there's rumours about Gary Antoinette's Russell joining now.
Wilder.
He took others. What are you thinking to that?
So I would say it's a two-part thing. I think first and foremost, fighters are going where the money is. So that's the first thing. Eddie Hearn is not just Eddie Hearn anymore. Eddie Hearn is Eddie Hearn with oil money behind him, right?
Yeah.
Let's
Turkey Al-Sheikh, His Excellency.
His Excellency is excellent, and we appreciate him, right? He's doing marvelous things. But nevertheless, so we have to put an asterisk next to Eddie Hearn because it's not just Eddie Hearn by himself, right?
That's true.
That's the first thing, right? And I think the second thing is, I think that when you're trying to do, I mean, we all see this if you've ever been in business or you've been in like a nonprofit, when you're trying to do that whole fly the plane while you're also building the plane type situation, you have too many things going on. And what you saw with PBC is they had all these names and they were all on the shelf. And these fighters have bills. And a lot of these fighters don't even know how to manage their money the right way, so they need some money coming in.
Yeah.
So Eddie Hearn, similar to, I don't want to say all the way like a UFC model, but he's making sure that his fighters are fighting.
And they're getting paid while doing so. Yeah.
Yeah. He's making sure that his fighters are fighting. He's not, I think PBC has been too reliant on notoriety of the names and not just putting people in the ring.
Exactly, mate. Yeah, Malik, you're 100% there, mate. Look at Dennis, how inactive he's been. He should be fighting every 3 months. The guy with that much talent should be putting it on show every 3 months, winning 4 fights a year. He should be on the top level now. Yeah, we still know him as a top-level fighter, but we don't think of him as like a GOAT yet because he's not had the opportunity, the platform to do it on. Now, under Eddie Hearn and Matchroom and DAZN and Turkey Al-Sheikh, His Excellency, do you think he'll get there? Do you think Boots will become the number one in the
I think that Boots has all, I mean, if you ever in the gym, like I said, the people who are really OGs who've been watching Boots for a long time says that he has everything everything.
I've heard he's the best around.
All the
He is the
talent.
best around.
He has all the talent and the work ethic and the focus, right? Sometimes you don't have all three of those things. Sometimes one of those things are thrown off, a la Adrian Broner, right?
Yeah, well, he was just full of shit, weren't he? Let's be honest.
Right. So even if we want to talk about some of the greats, even Roberto Duran, right? When he used to blow up, it used to be he wasn't the same focused person. So Boots has everything he needs. I think that with his excellency in the mix, I think that things can happen for Boots. He just has to, I mean, who do you like him to fight right now, right? Let's just say if we're looking at the trajectory of his career, right? What is the fight for him to fight? At first, it was definitely Terrence Crawford, right? But if Terrence Crawford is chasing Canelo or chasing Undisputed at other things, like, it doesn't make sense for Boots to just follow him up the weight. Okay, so then who does he fight? He could fight at 154 because he does need to move up to 154. He could fight Charlo and put him away. Absolutely.
Yeah. What they're saying at the minute, though, Malik, what they're saying at the minute is he's going to fight Crowley for his introduction to Matchroom. Then he's going to fight Barrios. Then he's going to fight Stanionios. And then they want the Bud fight as his fourth fight under the Matchroom banner. That's what they're saying now, bro. So you got Crowley is his first fight. Then Barrios. Then Stanios. And then they want him to fight Bud as that fourth fight. That's what they're aiming for him to do. At 140 or 147, depending on how the weight divisions go in the meantime. So what do you think to that? Well, I think we've lost Malik here a minute. Well, on that note, then, I'll end it. It's been Boxing Media Hub. Thank you for joining us. We'll speak to you all soon. God bless and goodbye.